Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is August 4th, 2024, and this is the post-match live analysis in order to analyze El Clasico match that took place yesterday in New Jersey between Barcelona and Real Madrid, where Barcelona won 2-1. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the post-match live analysis. For some of you who've been around the channel for a while, I always do post-match live analysis as soon as the match ends, where I get to analyze the match, everything that happened, the tactics, substitutions, etc, etc, etc. I also get to interact with you people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering your questions. So just like a podcast, but instead of news, we do post-match live analysis. I haven't done one in a very long time because, of course, the season ended in May. But I decided to do one for El Clasico match that took place yesterday. Of course, this is not technically a post-match live analysis because the match ended last night. But I was at the match. I was actually present at the match. I got to go. I got to watch it in the stadium. Really, really cool experience. The only thing is I didn't get home until 1 a.m. The match ended at 10 p.m. It took me 2.5 hours to get out of the stadium. Absolute insanity. I could not get an Uber. But anyways, got home pretty late. This is why I didn't do the analysis as soon as the match ended. I'm doing it now. So let's start with the analysis because we do have a lot of things to cover. And of course, I will be doing the chat section. So don't worry, I will be reading your comments. But let's talk about yesterday's match because yesterday Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 1-2. It's technically an away match for Barcelona. Not really. I mean, away match for everyone. Anyways, it was a 1-2 score where Barcelona scored 2 goals by Pau Victor. Pau Victor once again saving the day. He scored against Manchester City in the first preseason match. He scored yesterday twice against Real Madrid. And it was a good match. I have to say that. It was an improvement from the match against Manchester City. The team looked a little bit more cohesive. They were playing together much better than they did against Manchester City. Of course, that's expected. You know, as the preseason rolls around, the team starts to get more into dynamic. The players start to play better together. That's what preseasons are for, to get the players all into competitive rhythm before the season begins. So it's expected that the first match of the preseason is not going to be as good. And lo and behold, yesterday's match was definitely an improvement from the performance that we saw against Manchester City. Now, the match started after 10 minutes. It was suspended because there was a very heavy thunderstorm. It was absolutely crazy. It was raining cats and dogs, but it was suspended for a whole hour. Then the teams came back onto the field, and Barcelona started the half again, I guess, because they had already started for 10 minutes. But they started again after that suspension, the weather suspension, and they started out pretty good. They were creating a lot of chances. They were flowing. They were kind of dominating the match, but then Real Madrid kind of came back, and then things kind of balanced out where it was a lot of back and forth. Sometimes Real Madrid were dominating. Sometimes where Barcelona were dominating, which is what you expect in a Clasico match. You expect, you know, some back and forth, some equilibrium as far as who's dominating. And then Barcelona scored 2 goals, and then finally Real Madrid scored in that 1 goal, and it ended 1-2. Now, I do have to say about Real Madrid's goal, it was an absolute defensive gaffe. It was crazy how they left. I can't remember the Real Madrid player is one of their academy players. I think his name is Nico, if I'm not mistaken. But the way they left him by himself and the way he was able to head the ball in, I think it was a huge, huge defensive gaffe. It's some of the same mistakes that we've seen these past 2 seasons. But I'm glad it happened. Because as I reported in yesterday's video, Hansi Flick is not too happy with the team's defensive performance. He's been working a lot on that. He's working on defensive transitions to go from defense to attack to defense. Because even though Hansi Flick likes his teams to consistently attack with all the players overwhelming the other side's final third, he still wants to improve the defense. So he's been working a lot on defense during the trainings. And yesterday, That was evident. It was evident in Real Madrid's goal. It was an absolute gaffe. They left that guy alone. That shouldn't have happened, but I'm glad it happened. Why? Because after all, this is the preseason. None of what's happening matters. Absolutely nothing. So I'm glad it's happened now. That way Flick can see it, can study it, can figure out what exactly went wrong, and then can go back and remedy that mistake. So I'd rather the team commit these mistakes in the preseason so they can fix them for the actual season rather than commit them during the season where there are actual repercussions, right? If it's a La Liga match, now you lose maybe 3 points or a point. If it's a Champions League match, it can mean you get knocked out. You get the point. So I'm glad it happened, but those kind of mistakes cannot happen again. Those kind of defensive gaffes cannot happen. The way that Real Madrid player was left alone was insane to me. But overall, really good performance by Barcelona. I'm very, very liking something which I did mention against Manchester City is how fast the team can get the ball across the field. We're seeing a huge improvement from what Barcelona looked under Xavi, where it would take 50 passes until we finally made it to the box. You know, lots of back and forth, side to side, pass it back, pass it front, side to side, 50, 60 passes, half an hour later, and the team is still just passing the ball around, not doing anything with it. Under Flick, you can see how the team has become a lot more vertical, a lot more quick passes, 2-3 touches, and boom, we're already in the other team's final third. I'm liking that a lot. I saw that a lot against Manchester City. I saw it again against Real Madrid. And if we can continue building on that, I think that would be a huge advantage once the season begins. Also, I did see the team a little better defensively. Against Manchester City, we struggled a lot. We were overwhelmed. Yesterday, I saw the team being able to get out of tough situations a lot better. Again, with those quick passes, those quick touches. That's how the team was able to get out of the pressure sometimes. So I'm liking that. I like that it's improving. But I do have to say, once Vinicius came in, he did cause a lot of problems for us on that right flank. It was our right flank, their left flank. And I think that's something that Barcelona is going to have to address. But to be fair, we didn't have our starting defenders. You know, we had Alex Bayo on that side, who's not really a right back. He's a left back. We only had, I think, Inigo from the first team when Vinicius came in. So, of course, no Araujo, no Christensen. So I can see how we would struggle a little bit, but it's definitely a problem that we have to face once we do have to play against Real Madrid during the season, because Vinicius Jr. did cause a lot of problems. Anyways, that's overall my sensation of the match. A really good match, good performance by the team, good pressure, really good movement of the ball. They did much better defensively. I was happy with what I saw, but again, as I've been prefacing every video, this is just a preseason. We cannot make any general conclusions. You cannot start thinking, oh, we beat Real Madrid and we beat Manchester City. That's it. We're going to win the Champions League. These are just friendly matches where both teams are trying different things, where both teams are trying academy players. So don't get ahead of yourselves. But I am seeing signs, huge signs of improvement from what Barcelona looked like under Xavi versus what Barcelona looks like right now. Now, by the way, an interesting stat is that this is the fourth summer in a row that Barcelona defeats Real Madrid in the preseason. I don't know if that's a good stat or a bad stat, because after all, we defeated Real Madrid yesterday in the preseason, and then we ended up bombing the whole season. So I don't know how you want to take that stat, but I thought it was something interesting, and I thought it'd be worth mentioning. All right, let's do some comments, and then we will talk about the individual players, and then we'll do more comments, and finally, we will talk about Hansi Flick's statements after the match. Seven Homani says, hi Mo, if we can't get Nico, which winger would you want Barca to sign? For me, it would be Bradley Barcola. The Barcola would be a great signing. I like Barcola a lot. I don't know what the possibility is of signing him. But as far as if we can't sign Nico Williams and we can't really bring someone that we really like, I would rather the club not spend any money than just sign a whatever. Like, oh, we're desperate, let's just sign whomever. And I would rather just maybe Barcelona try out Dani Rodriguez. I think he did a great job with Spain in the under-19 Euros. And he's showing signs that he could be a good asset to the team. Is he maybe ready to be the starter in left winger? Probably not. But I think he should be given the chance to play some minutes with the first team, to train with the first team, and maybe, who knows? I mean, he is set to renew his contract right now. So I think that'd be a good option if we cannot sign Nico Williams, because again, I'd rather Barcelona save their money for next summer rather than just sign whomever just out of desperation because they cannot bring Nico Williams. Let's see what else. Rafinha says, I was just doing my resistance training live at this time. Yes, this was a surprise live. Like I said, I always do these lives as soon as the match ends. But yesterday I was at the stadium. Match ended at 10 p.m. I didn't get home till 1 a.m., 3 hours later. It was an absolute mess. By the way, the stadium was sold out. 82,000 people at the MetLife Stadium watching the Clasico. It was mostly Real Madrid people. I was just very surprised. I guess there's more Real Madrid fans in New York, New Jersey area. I mean, if I was to put a number for every Barcelona fan, there was maybe 4 or 5 Real Madrid fans. Like the stadium definitely looked white. They were very, very loud. Like they were consistently, singing, well, not singing, just cheering Real Madrid. Lots and lots of Real Madrid fans, but it is what it is. It's actually a good thing, if they get to watch their team lose live, the more the better. Shamar says, honestly, Mo, not to hype or overreact, but that double pivot looks extremely good. However, do you think they can continue this form in the season? And shout out to Pau. I think so. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't be able to. They're all young. They're hungry. They want to prove themselves. They want to earn a spot on the first team. This is why I love the preseason. I always say this, but the preseason is one of my favorite parts of the year. Not only because finally football is back, but also because in the preseason, everything's up in the air. Everybody wants to prove themselves. Anybody can make it. Anybody can get cut. So I really, really like the preseason because, especially with the youngsters, they're so hungry to prove themselves. They're so hungry to show the coach that they can do it. And you start seeing like what they're capable of. And so far, I've been extremely, extremely impressed with the youngsters. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but I think they'll be able to keep the form. I see why not. And Ross says, oh, why did this do that? I clicked on Ross's comment and then my chat moved. Ross says, Mo, remember we talked about what after Lewandowski a couple days ago and you said, hey, maybe Pau Victor, woohoo, he good. Also, Lenglet should join TT. Yeah, man. I mean, if Pau Victor can continue on this form, I think we have a future 9. And it's not looking good for Vitor Roque, but honestly, this is more of a lesson to the scouting department or to the sporting director, Deco, or his department or whomever, because we need to stop spending all this money on players when we have the solutions right in the academy. We spent 30 million euros on Vitor Roque plus 30 in variables when the whole time we had Pau Victor, who was killing it in Barca Athletic, and we had Margiu. Remember that, because when we signed Vitor Roque, Margiu was still in Barcelona. So it's like if you have 2 promising center forwards in the academy or in the reserve team, why are we spending 60 million on another player? Which also begs the question, why the hell are we looking to spend 60 million on Dani Olmo when we have players like Casado, like Marc Bernal, like Unai Hernandez, Fermin Lopez? I just don't get it. Like, is the club just want to sign just for the sake of signing, just so to say, look, we signed someone. Yeah, but do we need them? Who cares? We signed someone. I don't understand, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And we do have a donation. Thank you, my friend. Sunjoke says, Mika Fai looked really good. I don't understand why is he not given more minutes. Also, Inigo Martinez is so annoying as he complains all the time. Mika Fai did look good, but I think there's other players who are looking better than him. That's the problem. As far as Inigo Martinez, I think he had an incredible match yesterday, showing his experience, showing his defensive solidity. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's one of the top 5 CBs in the whole La Liga. Why he gets hate, I don't understand it. Maybe it's because, it's not as cool to like Inigo Martinez, right? He's not someone as high profile as, let's say, I don't know, Araujo, or, it's not someone that really gets excitement built. But Inigo Martinez is that kind of defender that does the job, gets in, does the job, goes home. And that's it. And I think he's one of the best CBs in La Liga, no doubt. So I really hope Barcelona can register his contract. I'm sure they will. I know a lot of people want to see him out. I don't know why. Why would you want to see one of, a great defender leave? I don't understand. And as far as Mika Fai, like I said, he did look good, but there's also a lot of players looking better than him right now. So I don't know if he has to step it up or what it is, or maybe his head is just not in it because, he's thinking I want either a guaranteed spot on the first team or I'm leaving. I don't know. Preseason is still going on. We still have the AC Milan match. We still have the John Gumper match. We'll see what happens. Anyways, let's get back and talk a little bit more about yesterday's match because we do have to talk about the man of the match, Pau Victor, scoring a double against Real Madrid, against no other. First goal, a little bit of luck there. You know, Lewandowski tried to. I think Lewandowski was trying to score it. To be honest, the way his reaction when he's like, "Oh crap," bounces off Lewandowski right to Pau Victor, who just pushes it in. Yeah, it is a bit luck, but at the end of the day, not everything is luck. At the end of the day, Pau Victor was able to anticipate that pass, was able to make that run, and was able to be at the right place at the right time. So yes, we can just chuck it off completely to luck, but I think it would be unfair. Yes, it was a little bit lucky the way it bounces off Lewandowski, but the fact that Pau Victor was even able to anticipate all that, you also got to give him merit, even though it was an easy goal. Second goal was a little bit better. Deep pass from Alex Valle. Actually, both were from Alex Valle. And he, is in the right place, hits it, goes in between Courtois' legs, and scores. I'm liking Pau Victor a lot. I liked him from the first minutes I saw him against Manchester City before he even scored the goal, because his timing is absolutely impeccable. And we saw that before he even scored his goal against Manchester City. 2 runs where he gets passes from Casado. They don't end up in goal, but his timing is absolutely impeccable. The way he can anticipate passes, make those runs, and make them right at the perfect timing, where he's not out, where it's not too early, where he's offside, or too late, where defenders are on him. But perfect timing. His runs are perfectly timed. The way he can anticipate the passes, the way he can read the plays, I think it's absolutely impeccable. And this player is showing that he could be definitely our future 9. So very, very happy with Pau Victor, with his performance against Manchester City, with his performance yesterday. And I can see why Hansi Flick now considers that Pau Victor is definitely ahead of Vitor Roque as being Robert Lewandowski's substitute. So great. Oh, by the way, another thing I like about Pau Victor, before I forget, he is a very versatile 9. He's not your typical 9 that just stands in the box, waits for the ball, and scores it. He's someone that can drop to the wings, someone that can drop behind the center forward. We saw that a lot, him running behind Lewandowski, kind of acting like a second striker. So he can play on both wings. He can play as a second striker. He's very mobile. He can drop to different positions depending on the play. And I like that a lot. He's definitely more of a modern center forward, a modern striker that can, adapt to the play, adapt to what the circumstances of the match requires of him, and he can drop to different positions and play in different positions and do so comfortably, right? Because there's players who you can put him on, like Vitor Roque, right? You can put him on the left, but he's going to struggle. You could put him on the right, but he's going to struggle. Now Pau Victor, he can move around and still do so in a very, very efficient way. So very, very impressed with Pau Victor. Definitely man of the match, and I cannot wait to see him during the regular season with the first team. Now, speaking of Vitor Roque, by the way, another match where he seemed lost. He was definitely very lost against Manchester City. Yesterday didn't really do much either. And Vitor Roque is starting to remind me of Rafinha, because he's a player that runs a lot. He's a player that commits a lot. He's a player that plays with a lot of determination. You can see him that he gives 200% when he's on the field. But as far as technical ability, it's not there. Right. And I know a lot of people always like, oh, Rafinha, he gives his everything. But I'm always like, yeah, he does. He runs his ass off. But he can't dribble past anyone. He can't complete passes. His crosses are crap most of the time. So what's the point of having a player running up and down the field if they cannot really contribute to the match with their technical abilities, right? At the end of the day, this is football. This is not a marathon, right? It's great that he can run all match, but that's not going to do anything for you. It's not about running. It's about what do you do with the ball. And Vitor Roque is starting to look a little bit like Rafinha, where, he runs a lot, and, he looks like very determined, but doesn't really do much. I hope I'm wrong, because, again, we spent a lot of money on this guy. Maybe he's just nervous. Maybe he's just, it's on his head, like that they're trying to sell him. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he still needs to find his form. Maybe it's too early, right? He's only been in Barcelona for 6 months. Maybe that's what it is. After all, Vinicius Jr., it took him 2 seasons to finally find his form. Maybe that's what it is. But so far, I think Pau Victor is definitely miles ahead of Vitor Roque. Another player that impressed yesterday, Marc Casado. I think Marc Casado, he was a little bit more not as accurate yesterday as he was against Manchester City, but Marc Casado is surprising me a lot. because I had seen him play with Barca Athletic, and he was always good with Barca Athletic, but he wasn't necessarily that good with Barca Athletic where I was like, oh, this can translate into the first team, right? Like, yeah, he's doing great with them, but didn't seem like he was doing so great where I was like, okay, he's going to come to the first team and kill it, right? Kind of like Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal was killing it with Juvenilao, the under-19 team, and you knew he was killing it so much that you knew he was still going to be able to do that with the first team, right? Because this one thing is to be able to do great with a reserve team. A whole nother thing it means to do great with the first team. And when I used to watch Casado, I used to think, okay, yeah, he's good, he's impressive, but I don't know if he can necessarily be impressive with the first team. Completely mistaken about that. He is doing absolutely wonderful. Again, completely being the owner and the king of the midfield, setting the tempo, distributing the ball, being everywhere. And the way he fights for the ball, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Gabi. He definitely has that fight in him. Well, he fight for the ball he'll go all out. But the way he just gets a hold of the midfield, like that's his area. Midfield is his. He's the boss there. He gets to dictate what happens in the midfield. And he does it with no problem, with lots of confidence. I'm very, very impressed with Casado. And I think he needs to be starting with the first team. Now, again, this is only the preseason. It's too early to tell. But if he continues on this form, I think we have our solution for the center midfield position. We don't need Merino. We don't need Kimmich. We don't need Subimendi and all these expensive-ass signings when we have someone right there in the academy. Another player that impressed me yesterday, Alex Baye. Alex Baye seemed a little bit lost against Manchester City. And then we talked about that news where Hansi Flick is actually considering Gerard Martin as Balde's substitute ahead of Alex Baye and ahead of Mika Faye. But yesterday, I don't know if it was, the news of him kind of falling down the ranks that made him step it up. But yesterday, Alex Baye stepped it up. Both passes that ended in goal were his. He was very, very lethal on that flank. He struggled against Vinicius. When Vinicius came in, he was kind of like struggled a little bit because Vinicius was very fast. Still held his own, but very lethal in the attack. And let's not forget, that's not even his position. Alex Baye is a left back, and he was playing on the right. But very impressive performance from Alex Baye, and this is why I like to have multiple options for one position, because this is what competition does. Competition is very important because it keeps players on their toes, keeps players working hard, training hard, because they know at any moment I can lose my position. And I think that's kind of what happened yesterday. Alex Baye saw that Gerard Martin was right there, stepping on his toes. He stepped it up. Great performance. Very, very happy with Alex Baye. And let's hope that both him and Gerard Martin can continue on this trajectory. Because again, the more competition, the better it is for the team. And overall, my sensation is, since we were just talking about players, is that I think what the preseason has proven to us is that we have a lot to work with. A lot to work with. We have so many talented youngsters in the academy, in the reserve team, in the academy teams. We have so much to work with, which is great because this is a team that's supposed to be under construction, right? A project under construction. Well, we have plenty to construct with. And it also shows that Laporta and the board of directors need to stop with their bullshit and pay attention to the academy and stop trying to bring players like Dani Olmo, which we don't need, because not only are we going to waste 60 million euros, but by bringing someone like Dani Olmo, all you're doing is hindering the growth of these players. Because if Dani Olmo comes to Barcelona, it's not going to be for him to be a substitute and, play behind Fermin and Casado and all these guys. It's going to be for him to be a starter, because if the club's going to spend 60 million on him plus his salary, they're going to want him to start. And by bringing someone like that, not only are you wasting money because you're bringing a player that you don't need, now you're hindering the growth of other players, or players like Fermin Lopez, of Bernal, of Casado, even of Pau Victor, because Pau Victor sometimes plays in that position. So Laporta, I know obviously you don't watch this, but if you're watching this, for God's sake, get your head out of your ass. Stop trying to sign players for the sake of signing, the way you brought us the two Joaos last summer just because you wanted to, even though there was no need for them. And again, they're talking about bringing Cancelo back. Why? We have Hector Ford. We have Alex Baye. We have Balde. We have Kunde. We have Mika Faye who can play in that position. Why do we need Cancelo? What is Cancelo going to give us besides hinder the growth of these youngsters? So please, Laporta, Deco, if you guys are watching this, get your heads out of your asses, focus in the academy, and stop trying to sign for the sake of signing. Stop wasting the club's money. Stop hindering the growth of these players just for the sake of just saying, oh, I signed someone. Look, fans, I signed someone. Yay, applaud me. I'm great. Please stop. Anyways, let's do more comments and then we will talk about Hansi Flick's statements. And we do have Russ, who has become a YouTube member. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for your support. And then we have a donation from Ramius Youssef. Says, lucky me, catching the live podcast early. I am in Dubai. How do you think we will fare against the full face of Real Madrid? Partreed. Excuse me. I think if we keep building on what Flick is doing, I think we would have no problem. And I said this a lot last season, or not last season, but in the last few weeks, maybe last few months, when people were like, oh, what are we going to do? Real Madrid, they have Bellingham, and now they're going to bring Mbappe and Endrick and maybe Davis, even though that I haven't heard anything about Davis. And I said, I don't care. We've seen this story time and time again. Madrid has always had great signings. They've always had more money than Barca. They've always had better signings than Barca. And we've always managed with it. The best team in history of Barcelona, the Pep Guardiola team, it was mostly academy players. Because we have one of the best academies in the world, if not the best academy in the world. Let's continue focus on that because that's where our answer is. Madrid can sign whoever the hell they want. They can sign Mbappe. They can sign Haaland. They can sign Maradona, reincarnate him and bring him back. They can sign whoever they want. We have the greatest academy in the history of football, La Masia. And that's our answer. And we're seeing that again during this preseason. Look at all these kids. They're 16 years old, 17 years old. They're absolutely killing it. And they're not even close to offering what they can offer. So let's continue focusing on the academy because that's our answer right there. Sure, we should bring 2-3 signings, big signings to reinforce because you always need experience. You need those players are difference makers. But let's continue focusing on the academy because that's where the answer lies. It's always lied there. It continues to lie there. So let's continue focusing on it. All right, let's see. Let's do more comments. All right, we got Fabrizio Romano's brother. Fabrizio Romano says, Vitor Roque to Shanghai FC. Here we go. Yeah, maybe. Ranak says, why doesn't Dani Rodriguez get a chance? And what your personal starting lineup will be for the upcoming season? Love from India. Dani Rodriguez is currently on break because he was playing in the under-19 Euros. So he hasn't participated in the preseason yet. I'm not sure when he's going to come back, but the under-19 Euros ended last weekend. Usually players get 3 weeks off. So we'll see if he gets the full 3 weeks or if he cuts his vacation short. But the reason why Daniel Rodriguez hasn't gotten any minutes is because he was with Spain, with the under-19 Spanish team. As far as my lineup, I think it's too early right now to say. I had kind of my lineup before the preseason started, but now that the preseason has started, I think it's just we're seeing so much from so many players that I think I would rather save that until the end of the preseason before I can give you a better answer. Because I still want to see how the players continue to do. Like, for example, Casado has completely surprised me. Pau Victor has surprised me. Bernal, I knew he was very talented, but I didn't expect him to surprise me as much as he has either. There's new players that have surprised me, like Sergio Dominguez or Gerard Martin. So there's been a lot of surprises this preseason. Great surprises, of course. Curtis says, I don't like to compare players, but Pau Victor reminds me of David Villa a lot with his movement, directness, and aggression at goal. I think I agree with that assessment. I definitely do. And I'm very, very excited about Pau Victor. Very, very excited. Chris says, thank you for your donation, my friend. But Chris says, how many of these athletic players realistically get a place? It seems like there are several impressive. Pau, Valle, Casado, Bernal, etc. That's a great problem to have, right? Especially with a team like Flick, because Flick likes to press a lot. He likes his players to play with a lot of intensity. And when you have your players playing with so much intensity, the 90 minutes of every match, you're going to need to rotate a lot more often because Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with injuries. So this is a great problem to have, because now you can continue playing with high intensity because you know, hey, I have all these other guys on the bench, which I can bring in to rotate, and the team is not going to suffer as far as performance. We're still going to be doing great because we have so many great players that we can keep rotating them, and the team is not going to suffer. They're going to continue playing the way great because we have plenty of great players. So I think it's a great problem to have. I'm glad we have that problem. So let's go. All right, let's talk about Hansi Flick's statements, because Hansi Flick was actually not happy with the team's performance, even though we did beat Real Madrid. Now, this is what the German coach had to say. The win against Real Madrid, well, we didn't press for the whole 90 minutes. This is a problem. We knew it was a Clasico match, even though it was preseason. I told my players that we want to see an improvement on the pitch compared to what was showed against Man City. I believe that is what happened. We did a good job. In some situations, we collapse too much during the match and do not put pressure on the rival players who has the ball. This can't happen. This is a problem. We have to focus on this and press during the whole match. So there you have it, folks. If that doesn't tell you what kind of mentality Hansi Flick has, I don't know what else can. Because the team won. He could have came out and said, yeah, we did great. We beat Real Madrid. It's a tough rival. Or he could have pulled a Xavi, like, yeah, we won, but we deserved a lot more. We deserved to win by 10-0, but it was the rain, it was the lightning, it was the grass, it was the refs. But I don't know. Hansi Flick comes out and says, yes, we won. Sure, we did better than what we did against Manchester City, but I'm not happy. Why? Because the team did not press for the full 90 minutes, and that's a problem that he wants the team to fix. That's the competitive mind that Hansi Flick has. The one where even that he won, he's still not happy because he didn't see what he wanted to see on the field. And that's great, because the last thing we need is a conformist coach who just focuses on the results like Xavi used to. Like, oh, well, we won, so who cares if we played like shit? Oh, we won La Liga title. Who cares that we played the whole season like shit, right? Now Flick is telling you, look, yeah, we won, but I don't care. At the end of the day, the players didn't do the job that I wanted them to do. That's a problem. We have to fix that. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is how you build greatness. Not by just comforting yourself with the result, not just by settling for the result, but by saying, no, this is the vision I have of the team, and this is what we're going to achieve, and we're going to work hard to achieve it regardless of what the results. Because you can be winning and still be playing like shit, which is La Liga season that we won. Perfect example of that. So I'm glad that we don't have a mediocre coach, because we definitely have a lot of mediocre fans who are always like bringing up, well, we won La Liga title. Well, we won La Liga title. That's cool. But how did we play? We played like shit. So I'm glad that we don't have a mediocre coach. I'm glad that we don't have a coach that just, settles for the results, because that's not how you build greatness. You build greatness by setting a goal and working really hard to achieve that goal, and not being happy until you achieve that goal, regardless of what the results are on the way to achieving that goal. Anyways, that is all I wanted to say. Let's do a couple more comments, and then we will end this live. And then later tonight, I will do the news videos. SA says, Mo, please watch Tigo Land from PSV. He is Pedri level, no joke. Look him up right now. All right. Thank you, my friend, for the suggestion. I will definitely look him up. And Adam says, we have 197 watching, guys. Please hit the like button. Yes, please, guys. It's free. All you have to do is click on it, and that's it. And it helps a lot. It helps this channel a lot. All right, let's see. I can't say that name, but it says, hey, Mo, long-time subscriber. This is my first live section. I'm 50 minutes late to this video, so I'm going to watch it. Always loved your videos. Dedicated work. Thank you, my friend, for your support. And I'm glad you can join our live. And thank you for your comment. Now, one more. Jovan says, Casado and Bernal are unproven players. Yes, we have a mad potential, but they ain't there yet. Olmo is a proven elite player. Big difference, Mo. Okay, sure. But how do you get Bernal and Casado to become proven players? Is it by bringing Olmo to take all their minutes away from them and they can spend the whole season on the bench? Or is it by already starting the players that we have, like Frankie, Fermin, Gundogan, etc., and then still giving minutes to Bernal and Casado to prove themselves? That's the real question. Because if we bring Dani Olmo, that's even less minutes for Casado and Bernat. You cannot get a player to prove himself or to become proven without minutes. But anyways. All right, that is all for this live. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are absolute the best. I will be uploading the news videos later today, so stay tuned to the channel. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your donations. And as always, Visca Barça.